Alright folks, so in today's video we're going to take a look at the MFJ-4230DMP. It's a variable adjustable power supply that I use for my ham Radio Shack. But before we get started, I did want to mention that down here there's a couple of buttons, a like button, comment button, subscribe button. Go ahead and click them, it'll make you happy. I wanted to take a few seconds to thank our newest patrons over on Patreon, Henry Albert Harris and Roger Hernandez. Thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate it. Alright, before we get started, I did want to say that MFJ sent this product to me free of charge in exchange for this video review. Alright, well let's get into it. It's the MFJ-4230DMP. It's a digital switching power supply. On the side of the box you can see a number of features, and if you want you can pause this video and you can take a look at them in more detail. But what's interesting to me is that this thing can do 30 amps at a surge, and it does 25 continuous. Some folks will say things like, hey, a switching power supply generates a lot of noise or RFI. And while that might be true, I do use RFI suppression. For example, I put a toroid core on the power supply cable that comes from this and then goes into my radio. In the box you get a spec sheet and a user manual, which is atypical. Typically MFJ directs you to a website to see their user manuals, but I think this one might be a little bit different because it was not made in the United States. Here you go, you see some panel descriptions, you see some diagrams, you see some warnings. We're also going to take a look at where you can see this user manual on the product website itself. So that way if you lose this, you don't have to go into panic mode. It comes with a standard 110 power cord. And then the power supply itself is boxed up or packaged pretty well. I wouldn't call the product heavy, but it's very solid. It's small and compact, and I like the size and form factor of it. It's a lot smaller than my current power supply, so I'm looking forward to replacing that. My current power supply is the MFJ-4230DMP. Here you can see some power pole connectors on the back, and then you have some standard posts on the front. Let's get this plastic off of here. I hate when people leave that on. There's also a switch on the back of this device, and you need to pay attention to it. Mine's set for 115. If you need 220, set it to 220, but make sure you get that right. Alright, let's power this baby on. When it comes on, you initially hear a fan, and then it stops. It's a pretty quiet power supply. Now, if you start driving this thing hard, that fan will come back on, but it's not loud and it's not obnoxious. The power button on the front is easy to turn on and off. It makes a loud click so you know that it worked. You have a green LED that lights up when powered on, and then a red LED that comes on with a fault, and I have not had a fault yet, so it has not come on. Here you can adjust the power output. Now, what I'll say is that it is not the most granular of controls, but it allows you to go from about 3.5 volts up to, 16.4 seems to be the high end. And that's pretty cool. You may have devices that require different voltage inputs. Okay, so here's the listing on MFJ's website, and I'll include a link down below where you can check this out. It's listed for $159.95. You may be able to find that cheaper elsewhere. I don't know. I didn't look for it. But if you scroll down, you'll see a picture of the product where you can zoom in. And it says, like the MFJ-4230 MVP, but it has a digital LCD display. Shows amps and voltage simultaneously on a backlit screen. Power poles are on the back. And then there's a tab over here for product manuals where you can download that as well. So just taking a quick look, it's a Microsoft Word document. And if you go through here, it lists the specifications, so you can see that 25 amps is the continuous, the surge is 30. And there's some other things here. It tells you a little bit about turning the power supply on and off, cooling it down, installation. Here you have a diagram of the front and the back panels. You have some important safety information. I would encourage everybody to read this before using this particular product. And I took a look at the 12-month limited warranty. It says it agrees to repair or replace at MFJ's option without charge to the original owner for any defective product under warranty. If the product is returned, postage prepaid to MFJ. And it also says to handle a $12 or to supply a $12 check for postage and handling for the return package. It says MFJ will send replacement parts free of charge for any product under warranty upon request. Just included an $8 check for shipping. I think MFJ's got pretty good customer support. This warranty is not void for owners who attempt to repair defective units, and that's pretty cool. But what I would urge anybody to do, unless you really know what you're doing, don't crack open a power supply. So here's some video of the device in use. And what I want to say is I'm actually driving an amplifier here. It's at a low setting now, but what I wanted to do is I just wanted to see the meter output. And as I mentioned, the control is not that granular, and I also wouldn't call this precision output on that meter. I think the meter is close enough for government work, but if you needed to get precision measurements, you may want to look at something else. Overall, I really like this power supply and have integrated it into my shack, and it works really well for me. I'm really thankful that MFJ took the time to send it to me, and I appreciate everybody taking the time to watch this particular video. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or recommendations, go ahead and post them below, and I'll do my best to respond. Thanks again, everybody.